The new person was never the point. That's what took me the longest to understand. Because when I first saw them move on, it destroyed me. Not quietly, completely. The photos, the smiles, the sudden happiness, how fast everything happened. It felt like I had been erased overnight, replaced, forgotten. And honestly, that's exactly what they wanted me to feel. Because narcissistic replacement is rarely about connection. It's about impact, perception, control. And if you don't understand that, you'll spend months comparing yourself to someone who was never actually the point to begin with. That's the trap. People think the new person means they found someone better. But that's usually not what's happening psychologically. The new person serves a function, and once I finally understood that function, everything started making sense because the speed was the first clue. Healthy emotional attachment doesn't usually replace itself overnight. Real grief takes time. Real healing takes time. Real emotional processing takes time. But narcissistic transitions often happen with shocking speed. And that speed confuses people emotionally. Because your brain automatically interprets speed as certainty. If they moved on this fast, maybe none of it was real. That thought destroys people internally. Because now, you're not just grieving the relationship anymore. You're questioning your entire reality. Was any of it genuine? Did they ever love me? Was I just temporary? That spiral is brutal emotionally, and it keeps people trapped in comparison for months, sometimes years. Because now the focus shifts away from the manipulation and onto the replacement. That's exactly where narcissists want your attention. Not on the cycle, not on the behavior, on the new person. Because comparison creates emotional instability. And emotional instability creates vulnerability. That's why so many narcissistic breakups suddenly become public performances. The posts become louder. The visibility increases. Everything suddenly looks perfect. Perfect timing, perfect happiness, perfect connection. And if you're emotionally attached, it feels impossible not to internalize it. You start asking questions that slowly destroy your self-worth. What do they have that I didn't? Why are they treating them better? Why couldn't they love me like that? But those questions assume something dangerous, that the new relationship exists primarily because of emotional connection. And sometimes that's the illusion, but underneath it, something much more psychological is happening. Because narcissistic replacement often serves three purposes simultaneously: distraction, validation, and visibility. The new person becomes proof. Proof that they're desirable. Proof that they moved on. Proof that you were the problem. And if you react emotionally to the replacement, the entire strategy works perfectly. Because now, your attention is back on them again. That's why the replacement phase feels so exaggerated sometimes, because it's designed to be seen. And the more emotionally attached you still are, the more powerful the effect becomes. That's what finally changed my perspective. I stopped looking at the replacement emotionally and started looking at the timing psychologically. That's when everything cracked open. Because the new person almost always appeared at very specific moments. Right after distance, right after boundaries, right after silence, right after detachment. That's not random, that's reaction. And once you see the replacement as emotional positioning instead of romantic destiny, the illusion starts collapsing. Because now, you're no longer looking at who are they happier with? You're looking at, why does this always happen when control disappears? That question changes everything because suddenly the relationship stops looking special and starts looking cyclical, predictable, scripted. That realization hurt deeply at first because it forced me to confront something painful. The new person wasn't evidence that I was worthless. They were evidence that the cycle was continuing, and those are completely different things. That distinction matters a lot because when you personalize the replacement, you destroy yourself emotionally. But when you recognize the pattern, you begin detaching from the illusion. That's why narcissistic relationships create such intense comparison trauma. The replacement isn't just emotional, it's symbolic. It feels like proof that someone else succeeded where you failed. But the truth is usually much darker than that. Most replacements aren't entering a healthier dynamic. They're entering an earlier stage of the same cycle. That's why things often look so perfect publicly in the beginning. Because early stage idealization always looks convincing. That's literally how the cycle works. Attention, validation, intensity, emotional mirroring, fast attachment. It creates the illusion of extraordinary connection until the pattern repeats again. And eventually, it almost always does. Maybe differently, maybe slower, maybe more subtly. But cycles built on control eventually reveal themselves. That's why I eventually stopped obsessing over the new person, because the more I studied the pattern, the less personal it started feeling. And honestly, that realization gave me my sanity back. Because comparison is emotionally exhausting. You keep trying to solve an equation that was never actually about you. You compare appearances, timing, behavior, attention. Meanwhile, the deeper psychological structure remains invisible. That's why outsiders often misunderstand narcissistic relationships completely. They only see the performance layer, not the emotional mechanics underneath it. And narcissists understand performance extremely well, especially public performance. That's why the replacement often feels intentionally visible, because visibility creates emotional reaction. And emotional reaction restores influence, even from a distance. That's the part most people miss. Control doesn't always require direct contact. Sometimes emotional control happens entirely through perception, through what you see, what you imagine, what you compare yourself to internally. That's why the replacement phase can feel psychologically consuming, even without communication. And the more emotionally invested you are in understanding it, the deeper the attachment continues. That's why healing only started for me when I stopped focusing on the replacement entirely. Not because it stopped hurting immediately, but because I finally realized the comparison itself was keeping me emotionally trapped. Every time I analyzed them, I re-entered the cycle mentally. Every time I compared myself, I reinforced the emotional wound. And every time I tried to understand why they moved on so fast, I moved further away from my own healing. That awareness changed something permanently inside me, because eventually I stopped asking, why them? And started asking, why do I still believe their behavior defines my value? That question was life-changing, because narcissistic replacement only destroys your self-worth if you keep viewing yourself through their perception. And their perception was never stable to begin with. That's why validation from them always felt temporary, conditional, unpredictable, based on control, not emotional consistency. Once I saw that clearly, the replacement lost some of its emotional power over me. Not all at once, but enough for clarity to finally enter. And clarity changes everything. Because now, instead of feeling replaced, I started recognizing repetition. The same intensity, the same performance, the same visibility, the same idealization stage playing out again with a different pace. That's when I finally understood the truth. The new person was never the point. The point was maintaining the cycle, maintaining attention, maintaining validation, maintaining emotional influence. And once you fully understand that, comparison starts losing its grip on you. Because now, you're no longer asking, why were they chosen? You're asking, what cycle are they walking into? That perspective changes the entire emotional experience, because now you stop viewing the replacement as proof of your inadequacy and start seeing it as continuation. The same pattern, the same structure, the same emotional mechanics repeating themselves again, just with someone new standing where you once stood. And once you truly see that, the illusion starts collapsing for good.